Hi guys, welcome back to another video tutorial. So in this tutorial we'll be going through an exam question on inequalities, and this is a 5-mark question. Now if you look at the question, right, it says basically we need to find the set of values for x for which this x squared minus 5x minus 36 is smaller than 0, and then 2 bracket 4x minus 1 bracket is greater than 10. Now first and foremost, you need to know your inequality signs, right? If you're not quite sure on these inequality signs, I would suggest to first go and learn them. Now you also need to know how to solve these inequalities. I have separate video tutorials on solving these inequalities, and I'll put the link on the top right hand corner of your screen so that you can go and check it out. Do that first to try and understand what is going on before trying to attempt this question, right? So trying to solve this question basically means we need to first solve the value of x for this equation, and we need to solve the value of x for this equation. Now what is the difference between this equation and this equation? Can you spot the difference? If you look closely, one of them is a quadratic, right? And it's a quadratic because it's got a squared, x squared, and whereas this one is a linear equation because it's just x. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to solve this equation separately, and then I'm going to solve this equation separately, and then you will see that we're going to get different values of x. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to write x squared minus 5x minus 36, and this is going to be, now forget about the smaller sign, I'm just going to put equals for now, right? Equals 0. We'll get to this later, so don't worry about this. And now what I'm going to do is find the value of x, and the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to factorize. Now factorizing basically means I want two numbers. When I multiply, it gives me minus 36 because minus 36 is here, and I want two numbers. When I add, gives me minus 5. Okay, so if you're not quite sure with factorizing, I would suggest to go and watch the factorizing video as well first before getting into this. Now, what two numbers when I multiply gives me minus 36 and when I add gives me minus 9? I know that 9 and 4 gives me 36, right? But I need minus 5 and minus 36. So if I put minus 9 here, minus 9 times 4 gives me minus 36, and minus 9 plus 4 gives me minus 5. So now what I'm going to do, all I have to do is just put my two brackets, because since we're factorizing, I'm going to put this equals to 0. I'm going to put x here, and I'm going to put x here, and the two numbers that I found, I'm just going to add them here. So minus 9 and plus 4. That's all you do when you're factorizing. It's very simple. Now all I have, or all I'm going to do now, is I have x minus 9 equals 0, and then I have x plus 4 equals 0. What we need to do now is we need to find the value of x, right? So if x minus 9 equals 0, x will be 9 because we're bringing minus 9 to the other side. Likewise here, if we have x plus 4 equals 0, x is equals to minus 4. Okay, so what you can see here is you have your two values of x, but remember you need to draw the graph for quadratic inequality, so you should not forget this. And the graph, okay, again, this is not very accurate, it's just a sketch. You got 2 points, minus 4 and 9. So minus 4 is obviously going to be somewhere here, and 9 is going to be somewhere here. Again, it doesn't have to be accurate, it's just the points. Now you should know an x squared graph, right? A positive x squared graph is a U shape or a smiley face, right? So you should know, okay, this is going to be a smiley face, and a smiley face that is going to go through the 2 points, minus 4 and 9. So my graph is going to be something like this. Okay, it doesn't have to be very accurate as long as it goes through the points and the examiner knows, okay, you sketched a smiley face. That's enough. Okay, now what you got to see, we're going to go back to the original sign here, right? This sign means what? Smaller than 0. And obviously 0 being here, smaller than 0 basically means we want to shade everything below 0, right? So because it's smaller than 0. So our answer for this is going to be, so let me write this in orange. Our answer for this, because it's smaller than 0, what I'm going to do straight away is put x, and I'm going to put my inequality signs this way. And what is my left number on the graph that I have here? Minus 4. Minus 4 is going to be on the left hand side, and the right number, which is 9, is going to be on the right hand side. Now that's the shortcut if it's shaded below. If you want the explanation, basically all it means is if you look at this point, right, as we're going down, and the reason why I'm going down is because I'm shading down. As I'm going down, what is happening to my x value? you can see my x value is decreasing. So we say x is smaller than 9. If we take this point now at -4, as this line is going this way, because again we're shading down, so we're going this way towards where the shaded region is. So as this line is going this way, what is happening to x value? It is increasing. So we say x is greater than -4. So that is my answer for this quadratic inequality here. Again, I have separate videos on inequalities as well. So again, if this is a bit confusing, go and watch those ones because I go a bit slower on the explanations there as well. So the next thing that I'm going to do is, because I've solved my quadratic inequality, I'm going to solve my linear inequality, which is this equation. So I'm just going to rewrite this equation here. So 2 bracket 4x minus 1 greater than 10, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand the brackets. So 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times minus 1, so when I say expand, I mean expand like this. And then 2 times minus 1 is -2. Keep the sign as greater. You can even have equals here. It really doesn't matter for now, but we'll just keep it as greater. It doesn't matter. Greater than 10. Remember, because we want to find x, we need to bring the -2 to the other side. So bringing -2 to the other side means we're adding 2. So that means 8x is greater than 12. And because we want to find x, that means we're going to divide it by 8. So this will give us x is greater than, I think 12 over 8 is what, 1.5? So that's 1.5. And that's going to be 3 over 2 if you divide it by 4. Right, so we've got our other inequality answer for x for this one. Now, because the question, if you look at the question, it says find the set of values for x for this and this. So we need to combine these two together. And how I'm going to combine these two is basically by drawing a number line, right? And again, I am not going to be plotting every single number it's just going to be wasting time. So what I'm going to do is, so we're going up to 9, right? So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, and then I'll just put 9 here, okay? And then we have -4. So let's start with -1, and then -2, and then I'll just go to -4. Okay, might as well just put -3 anyway, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these two values on a number line, and it's very, very simple. It's not hard at all. If you understand these inequalities, it's very, very simple, and I'll show you how this is going to work. So the way this is going to work, basically, let's look at this inequality first, right? 1.5. I know 1.5 is going to be somewhere here between 1 and 2, so I'm going to draw a circle, okay? Now, which direction am I going to go? Am I going to go to the left hand side, or am I going to go to the right hand side due to this statement? This statement is saying x is greater than 1.5. Because x is greater than 1.5, my arrow or line is going to go to the right because it's increasing, right? X is greater than 1.5 is meaning we want all our x values above 1.5. Now, the next thing is we're going to put this on a number line. What you see here, x is basically between -4 and 9. So straight away what I'm going to do is I'm going to put -4 here, right? And then a 9 here, and I'm going to join this line, okay? That's the first thing that I'm going to do, because basically your x value has to be greater than -4, which means it's going this way, this way, this way. But then x has to be smaller than 9, and then when it gets here, it stops here. So it's between -4 and 9. Does that make sense? Also, another thing I would just add to this as well is if there was an equal sign here, so say if we had x is greater than or equals to 1.5, that equal sign, you would shade the dot. So be very careful. The examiners will look at this as well, right? You have to shade the dot if you have an equal sign underneath. If you don't have an equal sign, like these ones, you don't need to shade the dot and you leave it like that. Okay? Now, once we've got this, can you see the lines merging? Right? There is a section where the lines is merging, and it's basically merging here, between here, the intersecting at these points. And you can see it's starting from this point, and then it merges at that point, or ends at that point. That is your set of values of x, basically. And the way we write that is basically we write x, and I'm going to put my inequality sign like this. Why? Because at this point, which is 1.5, x has to be greater than 1.5. So we say x is greater than 1.5. But it then stops here where it merges. It has to be smaller than 9. And that is my answer. Let me just quickly repeat that. If you look at where we've shaded the green region here, the green region starts at 1.5, which is here, but then ends at 9, which is here. So that is my set of values of x. And this is pretty much how you solve this equation. All right, for if you see any inequality equations like this, all right, two separate ones, make sure you first solve the quadratic and then solve the linear and then draw the number line and then see where it merges, and wherever it merges, those will be your set of values for x. Okay, so hopefully you've taken something from this video, and it kind of you now understand, okay, when you have two inequalities, how to solve this equation. And yeah, just let me know any other topics that you guys would like me you guys want me to do, and we can do it. So until then, that will be all.